Welcome to Knife Thoughts. This video is going to be my full review of this knife, and this is the Jack Wolf Knives After Hours Jack, specifically in the purple abalone. And so this is the second release of the After Hours Jack, coming here in January of 2024, and it's one that I was excited for a couple reasons. First of all, I did do an unboxing video, so if you are interested in that, checking out the unboxing, you can find that up here. But it's one that I was excited about for a couple reasons. First of all, this is a Barlow style knife, and I love Barlows. Barlow is a regular jack, usually with an extended bolster. Really, the extended bolster is the kind of defining feature of a Barlow. And then second, because this knife is in abalone, and I just really enjoy abalone. It's a handle material that I think really, sets knives apart. So I was excited to see that this was coming my way, and I want to thank Ben at Jack Wolf Knives, as always, for the opportunity to check this out. Sometimes he asks which version I'd like to check out for review, but on this one he just sent this one without seeing if I was interested, because he knows that I like abalone. So I was really excited to see the abalone on this knife in particular. And so this is, like I say, the second release of the After Hours Jack. So I wanted to first talk about some of the differences between this and the previous release. Now, I did talk about this some in the unboxing, but I missed one of the differences. So first of all, this has an updated, upgraded, whatever you want to call it, bearing system. So they have always had ball bearings, but previously the ball bearings were kind of like a bent sheet of metal with the bearings inside it, and now it's a solid piece of metal. So it just is a nice little upgrade, probably a little bit more durable. Seems a little bit smoother to me also, especially after I put a little bit of oil on it. So I think that's a nice upgrade. Ben said it was just something that the factory offered, and you can see that it's very, very smooth. So I can get this kind of over the top, drop closed, as you can see, maybe a little shake there, but middle finger flick, super easy, really, really easy to catch in that long pull. I find it like really intuitive. I think I often use that style of opening on this knife actually, but you can also do a thumb roll, as you can see. You can definitely catch that. The long pull has a pretty good kind of shoulder to it, so you can open it real nicely with that. And then of course also you have the front flipper, so you can see you can use your thumb to open it front flipper style. And speaking of that, another one of the updates, changes, upgrades, again, whatever you want to call it, is it has less aggressive jimping on that front flipper area. So I'll show you the previous version of the After Hours. As you can see, I've got purple on both, but the jimping is significantly less aggressive. When I did the unboxing, I kind of took a quick look, but I didn't realize until really taking a look at them that it is quite a bit less deep, but it definitely doesn't make it more difficult to do the front flipper. And in fact, sometimes on these, they're really fun to flip. They are very fidgety, if that's something that you do with your knives, which I do. And so if you, front flip open these knives over and over and over again, sometimes it can get a little bit rough on your thumb. You can maybe see, got a little bit of callousing going on there. And so I think that this is an upgrade. As you can tell, no issue with getting enough traction. You can see it does stick out above, so you don't really need much traction, and it really flips open. So I like that upgrade as well. And then another change here, sticking to the blade, is an enlarged sharpening choil. Now I have to say, I don't see much of a difference. There is I think you can tell a little bit of a difference in the newer one being a little bit deeper, but it's not a massive difference. And so as compared to, say, the change from the original sharpening choil, and so this is the Midnight Jack. This is the the first version of the Midnight Jack, which is kind of the slip joint version of the After Hours Jack. And so these are what you would call a coffin handled Barlow, because they do have these kind of hard corners, facets, rather than being rounded like a more, you know, regular Jack, traditional Barlow like this, or like the Big Bro Jack Barlow version that they did real recently in December of 2024. I think I said at the beginning of this video that this was this was coming out in January of 2024. It is January of 2025. But anyway, this is the slip joint version. And so the original sharpening choils on these were a good bit smaller. You can see a very clear difference there, very clear difference there. And so it's not like a massive difference, I don't think, between the original After Hours and this newest release, but there is a little bit of a difference. It's a little bit deeper. And then another difference here is the clip. So this is something that when I saw in the video that Ben sent out that this was a change that they were making, I at first thought, you know, it's not a huge deal. But then I thought about it, and I have had some times where, you know, if I'm wearing thicker material pants, where the clips can be a little bit tougher to get on and off. I don't think it's a really big deal, but you can see that the new clip has a little bit more space, hopefully you can see, has a little bit more space under it, and also has a little bit more space, you know, at the lip here where you would actually get the pocket onto it or under it. So, you know, hopefully there's less incidence of that issue of having trouble getting it in and out of the pocket. So another good upgrade. I definitely didn't notice like it being more uncomfortable in the hand or anything like that. You can feel the clip on both of these, but it's not a big difference, I wouldn't say. Again, you know, not something that makes a huge difference for me either way, like with making it easier to get in and out of the pocket, or with the height of the clip affecting grip. So moving on to the construction of this knife, as always, Jack Wolf knives are super well made. This knife, when I got it in the unboxing, I basically kind of said it's basically perfect, and that is almost true. And I say almost true because there was a very, 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 very slight kind of separation between the purple and the abalone on this side right here. And so when I say very slight, I mean very, very slight. I didn't notice it when I was doing the unboxing, if I recall. And then I sent a picture to Ben, and you know, it's hard to even take a picture of it. But I will show you a picture here of what that looked like, just so you can kind of have an idea of how small of a separation it was. But what I did was I actually took a little tiny bit of super glue on the end of a toothpick and kind of got it into that and held it closed. Now, it did not go perfectly. It's not something that I would recommend that you do. I had to clean some of the super glue off of the cover here, and there is still a little bit, you can see right there, that kind of just slight shininess on the titanium. That is super glue that I haven't been able to get off. So I don't recommend you do that. If you have any issue or anything that, you know, you're not happy with, I highly recommend just reach out to Ben or Donnie of Jack Wolf Knives. They have great customer service. They absolutely will stand behind their knives. I am sure of it. So if you have any issues, just reach out to them. Don't do what I did and try to fix it yourself. But again, a very small thing. Aside from that, like I say, just absolutely beautifully constructed. No gaps on the back spring here, or the, I guess, back spacer. It's not a spring. Perfectly centered to my eye. No blade play even when unlocked. No blade play when locked. It locks up relatively early, as you can see, but I have done some spine whacking just to make sure, and it is good to go. No issues with lock slipping. Like I mentioned, the long pull is nicely done. On my After Hours, there's from the previous run, there's a very, very slight kind of a machining mistake where it's a little bit wider at the end there. So nothing like that on this newer version. Just super well made and a really, really nice knife. And so moving on to the aesthetics of it, there's a lot of good versions on this run. I think that the blue micarta is super good looking. I think that the tortoiseshell kyanite, I believe it is really classic, but this is the one that I would go with just because, again, I love abalone, and I think this is particularly a nice abalone. So what it is there's actually a layer of, I believe, G10, but it's purple synthetic underneath, and then there's a thin layer of abalone, and then there's a kind of a veneer of clear acrylic over that. And so it's the way abalone is often done. There's some other ways to do it where it's kind of like all throughout, similar to how G10 and things like that are with the, you know, whatever the material that's in it is, if that makes any sense. But this is how it is sometimes done. So again, I want to show you in comparison to this knife. This is AGEC number 86 Barlow. This is the Rendezvous Special from 2024. And you can see it's actually the same thing. So rather than a purple base, this has a black base. So you can see there is a layer of black synthetic at the bottom, and then there's a very thin layer of abalone, and then there's actually a thicker layer of clear acrylic on this GEC than there is on the After Hours Jack. So it's basically the same thing, just a different color, like I say there. So very much in line with a traditionally made abalone knife. So I really do like abalone. I think that this is a really interesting looking abalone. You can see that there is definitely a difference. This has more purples and blues and then a little bit of green, whereas most of the abalone that I have had has had a lot of green and a little bit of blue and maybe a little bit of purple. So I do really like that. It kind of makes it stand out even from other abalone. And then again, other things like the polished hardware. This has a polished clip and polished screws. Just a really good looking knife. That is another cool thing. I mentioned this in the unboxing, I believe, but another thing that I really like is that having these After Hours Jacks allows me to carry all Barlows. And so what I mean by that is I usually carry a modern and a traditional knife, so like a one-hand opening and a slip joint. And, you know, being able to have this is definitely a Barlow, in my opinion. It's not a traditional Barlow, it's not a slip joint, but it is definitely a Barlow. So having these allows me to carry a Barlow Modern and a Barlow slip joint. So I really do appreciate that. And it's just a beautiful knife. I think that if you like Barlows and want to carry a modern Barlow, this is really the way to go. So thank you again to Ben, Donnie, everyone at Jack Wolf Knives for bringing out these really cool knives and allowing me to check them out. If you've enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, leave any comments below, subscribe to the channel, click the bell, and select all so you know when I post new videos. Check out my website, knifethoughts.com, where I post articles on knives like this and knife-related topics, and subscribe to the email newsletter there. And last but not least, as always, don't forget to go out and do good.